All praise and glory to only the Almighty Most High Creator. African American, Negro. It's that time where they are asking us to cast a vote for two people that are not us. Now, before I get into these two candidates and talk about who we should vote for, I want to show you the system that you are going to vote in, participate in. I'm going to show you what that system allowed to happen to your ancestors. And I'll be quick about this. This is from the Smithsonian, excuse me, National Museum of African American History and Culture. The evidence of things unsaid. We're going to go down here. Many lynchings were spearheaded by the KKK, but thousands of everyday citizens were willingly participants who cheered, smiled, posed for photographs and postcards. They also collected lynching souvenirs that often included body parts of the victim and pieces of the of the lynch robe. So that is one thing that this system allowed to happen to your ancestors that you are getting ready to vote for. Here's another thing, human leather. We're going to go down here. And this is a letter that was written, and this is from the Jim Crow Museum. And it was written in 1988. Excuse me. I remember that 2 or 3 years ago, I incidentally referred to a prominent physician of this city wearing shoes made from the skin of Negroes. He still adhered to that custom, insisting that the tan hide of a Negro makes the most enduring and the most pliable leather known to man. Only last week I met him upon the street with a brand new pair of shoes. I looked at his footwear, as I always do. His pedal coverings have an irresistible fascination for me, and said with a smile, "Is the downtrodden Negro still beneath your feet?" In the most matter-of-fact way and without a shadow of a smile, he answered, "I suppose you mean to inquire if I still wear shoes made of the skin of a Negro. I certainly do, and I don't propose changing in that respect until I find a leather that is softer and will last longer and present a better appearance." So this is in the 1800s, and this is something that this government that you are voting for now allowed to happen. And it wasn't just shoes, it was coats, it was jackets, it was book covers, lampshades, and I could go on. But that's something that was allowed to happen to your forefathers. One more. The Delectable Negro. The Delectable Negro, Human Consumption and Homoeroticism Within U.S. Slave Culture, is a 2014 book by Vincent Woodard. The book explores the homoeroticism of both literal and figurative acts of human cannibalism that occurred during slavery in the United States. Woodard examines the sexual nature of documented instances of flesh eating and details the various manners of consumption whereby Negroes were metaphorically and actually eaten. And I say Negroes because the book is called The Delectable Negro. In the book, Woodward defines consumption as a range of parasitic practices, including institutionalized hunger, seasoning rituals, and sexual modes of consumption. Woodward writes that the consumption of black men by white male slave owners was a natural byproduct of their physical, emotional, and spiritual hunger for the black man. So, I have just shown you things that were allowed to happen by this government that you are about to participate in. So, Trump versus Kamala. Trump versus Harris. I'm going to start with Harris. Kamala Harris is a descendant of an Irish slave owner in Jamaica. Presumptive Democratic nominee and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has Irish roots, but not in a way that she is likely to embrace. Miss Harris is the daughter of Donald J. Harris, who was born in Jamaica, and Shyamala Gopalan Harris from India. Genealogical research carried out by Northern Irish historian Stephen McCracken reveals Miss Harris's 4 times paternal great-grandfather, Hamilton Brown, was born in Seo Antrim in 1776, the year of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. Brown immigrated to Jamaica, then a British colony, and became an enthusiastic slave owner on the sugar plantations that were the mainstay of the island's economy. He opposed the abolition of slavery across the British Empire in 1832 and went to Antrim to replace his slaves with workers from his native country. So, Kamala Harris, her ancestors owned your ancestors. That's all I should need to say about that one. Let's go to Trump. Excuse me. Donald Trump, from what I have found, is the only president that didn't have slavery in his history. And I started to go down that rabbit hole, but realized I don't need to. Donald Trump hates you, Negro. And here we go. If you ask President Donald Trump, he isn't racist. To the contrary, he's repeatedly said that he's the least racist person that you've ever encountered. I'm going to go down here. In 1973, the U.S. Department of Justice, under the Nixon administration, out of all administrations, sued the Trump Management Corporation for violating the Fair Housing Act. Federal officials found evidence that Trump had refused to rent to Negro tenants and lied to Negro applicants about whether apartments were available, among other accusations. So the Trump family is racist, and they did not want to rent to you, Negro, and the only reason that they do now is because they were forced. This is something that Trump said. Black guys counting my money, I hate it. The only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys that wear yarmulkes every day. I think that the guy is lazy, and it's probably not his fault, because laziness is a trait in Negroes. It really is, even though we built this place. I believe that. Excuse me. It's not anything they can control. Trump later said in a 1997 Playboy interview that the stuff O'Donnell wrote, the stuff I just read, about me is probably true. So he's admitting he said that. In 1992, the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino had to pay a $200,000 fine because it transferred Negro and women dealers off tables to accommodate a big-time gambler's prejudices. Trump hates you, Negro. And keep going. And it's not... Trump is a racist. Trump launched his campaign in 2015 by calling Mexican immigrants rapists who are bringing crime and bringing drugs to the U.S. His campaign was largely built on building a wall to keep these immigrants out of the U.S. As a candidate in 2015, Trump called for a ban on all Muslims coming into the U.S. His administration eventually implemented a significantly watered-down version of the policy. He hates Muslims. Latinos. Trump has been repeatedly slow to condemn white supremacists who endorse him, and he regularly retweeted messages from white supremacists and neo-Nazis during his presidential campaign. White nationalist Nick Fuentes describes his dinner with Trump. We had a pretty good rapport. So this white supremacist said that his dinner, he was invited by Trump to Mar-a-Lago, I believe, and and they had dinner. Okay, a white supremacist will not talk to someone who is not a white supremacist, and they definitely are not going to have a good rapport if they do. White supremacists hate everybody that is not white, and they hate white people that don't have their ideology. So everything that I just read to you about Trump makes sense. He hates you, Negro. He is a racist. He's a bigot. So, before I tell you who I'm going to vote for, I want to show you something. Scripture. This is Deuteronomy 17:15, or Deuteronomy 17:15. Thou shalt surely set over thee the ruler whom the Almighty shall choose. Of thy brethren thou shalt set over thee a ruler. Thou shalt not have power to set over thee a stranger, because he is not thy brother. Negro, African American. Neither one of these are Negro. So who am I going to vote for? Who the Almighty tells me to vote for. And he tells me to not vote for someone that is not Negro. So I will not be voting. All praise and glory to only the Almighty Most High Creator. Freedom of choice. You can choose the Almighty in what He tells you, or you can do what your enemies are telling you to do. All praise to the Almighty.